Hey everyone, this is Fun Chief. Welcome to the next in the series, Alliance Match Training Series, where fortune favors the prepared mind. And today is lesson number 3, negotiating terms of the battle. Long before an alliance match actually occurs, usually the alliance leadership gets together inside the Conflict of Nations, the Con League Forum, and has a discussion to negotiate the terms of the battle. And what I'm going to do for you is talk about that in terms of thinking through how to position your team in the best possible position. That's how you should be thinking about this. It's a negotiation because the recognition is that you're going to want things and they're going to want things that put their team in a good starting position to have a winning match. So, what does that look like? Well, negotiating terms of the battle, these are all the elements that are up for negotiation: the game type, the number of players, the nation selection, how that's done, when the game starts, and what triggers the war, and when the war is triggered, and how long is the truce, and is naval peaking and river peaking and flyovers and UAVs, are all those allowed, and can you record the match, and what's the boundary rules, and so on. These are all things that you should be deliberately thinking about. What puts me in the best possible position to do well on a given alliance versus alliance match? So, for example, the Mediterranean map is pretty common, but there's other maps that you could use as well, and you would want to know what those different map types are and which one is the kind of map that you would prefer to be able to use. I've seen the Mediterranean map more than just about any other, so usually that's what people are playing with, and what I like about it is it tends to be a quicker match. Your players, 7 versus 7, that's the only kind Red Wolf plays, but others might be willing to do something less, and there's different reasons why that might be the case. And your nation selection, random versus some other mechanism, pre-selection, or one east versus west, or there's a variety of different ways to do this. And so thinking through which one puts you in the best possible position is really what I'm advocating for you to be thinking about, using this opportunity here to set conditions for a good win. Game start tends to be pretty contentious, actually. You'd think it wouldn't be, but some folks prefer to do it on weekdays, and some folks prefer to do it on weekends. And of course, you got all kinds of time zone issues and so on. So, this is always something that I found to be somewhat contentious. But the other things that really matter are things like the naval peaking, where what naval peaking is, you take a infantry unit that you start with and you put them out to sea as a transport, and you go up to an enemy naval base and try to get as close to it as you can, so that you can your visual just peeks into that city or province, and you can see what kind of unit is there. So usually it's a unit that's like, you're not going to be able to see the exact content of the unit, but you'll see that it's infantry, or if it's an armor, or if it's a support unit. And all of these help paint the picture of what the enemy might be doing. So navy peaking and river peaking, which is the same thing, going up, taking an air unit and patrolling out over enemy territory, but you make the center of your patrol inside a river or some kind of a non-landmass area that allows you to see inside the enemy territory. And it's the same thing as navy peaking. You get the idea of what's there. You won't see exactly what's there, but you'll get an idea if there's something there and what kinds of units it might be. Flyovers, same sort of thing. Now UAVs, I used to be really for UAVs, and lately I've changed my mind, because when you have UAVs, the enemy can have them too, of course, and you get a much better understanding of what the enemy is doing, and of course they'll have the opportunity to do the same against you. I sort of like the idea of not allowing UAVs and basically leveraging my own understanding of the game mechanics and intelligence I have on the enemy, and so on, to come up with a winning game plan, and altering it only through secondary means instead of the direct observation that UAVs give. So it's something worth thinking about. And again, this is all just comes down to your particular play style. Match recording is something that often is very sensitive, especially the higher level organizations don't like to have their stuff recorded because people will use that as intelligence against them, as I pointed out in my previous lesson. So make sure that you talk about that. And boundaries are also another really important thing to do. So I would recommend that you think through, does using neutral boundaries help you or hurt you? If it hurts you, of course, you want to try to get them ruled out. But if it helps your play style, you want to try to get it ruled in. And just think through, what kind of units you're going to use that might use some of those boundaries that otherwise, are out of bounds in a typical game. And with that, that brings us to a close on negotiating the terms of battle. So, Alliance Match Training Series lesson number 3 is concluded, where fortune favors the brave. And up next will be lesson number 4, the typical Alliance Match. In that, I'll go over the typical Alliance Match map. I'll go over the Mediterranean map and kind of just point out a few things on that. And that's all I have for this lesson. Thank you all very much.